The detention cell hummed with alien technology, its crystalline walls casting prismatic reflections across James's scarred skin. He sat motionless on the metal bench, watching the Zephyrian guards whisper among themselves beyond the energy barrier. Their elongated heads tilted in confusion as they observed the intricate patterns of burn marks, surgical scars, and what appeared to be deliberately carved symbols covering his arms and torso. Liza paced in the adjacent cell, her own collection of scars hidden beneath the standard-issue prisoner uniform. She caught James's eye through the transparent partition and nodded almost imperceptibly. They had been captured during their reconnaissance mission on Kepler 442b, but their captors had no idea what they had stumbled upon. The human specimens display unusual dermal modifications. One guard chittered to another in their clicking language. Perhaps a primitive form of decorative mutilation? James allowed himself a slight smile. If only they knew. Commander Veltar entered the detention bay, his four arms gesturing with typical Zephyrian authority. The blue-skinned alien had led the galactic peacekeeping force for over 2 centuries, and his reputation for extracting information from prisoners was legendary across 7 star systems. Humans. Veltar spoke in heavily accented Standard Galactic, his voice like grinding stone. Your ship carried no weapons, yet you traveled through 3 restricted sectors. What is your purpose here? Tourism, James replied flatly, earning a sharp look from the commander. Veltar's mandibles clicked in annoyance. He produced a handheld scanner, its surface gleaming with biometric sensors. Perhaps this will encourage honesty. Our readers can analyze any biological modifications, implants or enhancement drugs in your systems. The scanner hummed to life, casting a blue beam across James's exposed arm. The Zephyrian technician operating it frowned at his display, tapping the screen with a clawed finger. Sir, the readings are unusual. The scarification appears to contain metallic elements, but the patterns don't match any known augmentation technology. Scan deeper, Veltar ordered. The beam intensified, and James felt the familiar warm tingle as the scanner probed beneath his skin. The technician's eyes widened, his breathing becoming rapid and shallow. Commander, I'm getting historical database matches, but they can't be accurate. The scanner is indicating these marks correspond to battlefield classifications from the Titan Wars. Veltar stepped closer, his 4 arms crossing skeptically. Impossible. The Titan Wars ended 3 centuries ago. These humans are barely past their species' industrial age. Sir, the reader is displaying specific campaign markers. This pattern here, the technician pointed to a spiral burn scar on James's shoulder, corresponds to the siege of Proxima Station, and this surgical modification indicates participation in the asteroid belt campaigns. Liza had stopped pacing and was now listening intently from her cell. She knew what was coming next. Continue the scan, Veltar commanded, though his voice carried a note of uncertainty. The beam swept across James's chest, where a complex array of scars formed an intricate mandala pattern around his heart. The scanner's hum grew higher in pitch, and suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the detention facility. Historical match confirmed, the scanner announced in its mechanical voice. Subject classification, Titan killer. Campaign record, carried fire against gods. Warning, extreme caution advised. The detention bay fell silent except for the continued wailing of alarms. Every Zephyrian in the room had taken an involuntary step backward. Commander Veltar's blue skin had paled to an almost white shade. That's impossible, he whispered. The Titan killers were legend. Humans who could destroy star-sized entities with nothing but enhanced biology and pure determination. They died out centuries before your species achieved spaceflight. James finally stood, rolling his shoulders as the energy barrier flickered and died. Apparently a security protocol when Titan killer genetics were detected. The scars across his body seemed to glow faintly in the alien lighting. Not died out, he corrected quietly. Evolved. Liza's cell barrier also deactivated, and she stepped out to stand beside James. When the scanner beam touched her exposed forearm, It immediately began displaying similar results. Stellar Forge veteran, Void Walker, carried fire against gods. You see, James continued, addressing the paralyzed aliens, what you call the Titan Wars, we call Tuesday. Every scar, every modification, every piece of metal fused into our bones, it's not decoration. It's a resume. He gestured to the spiral burn on his shoulder. This one? I got it diving into a collapsing star to retrieve the quantum core that powers your entire civilization. The surgical marks on my chest? Each one represents a different dimensional breach I sealed with my bare hands. The Zephyrian technician dropped his scanner, the device clattering across the floor. But your species, your planet was classified as primitive. How is this possible? Liza smiled, and the expression carried the weight of centuries. Time isn't linear for us anymore. We've been fighting gods and monsters in dimensions you can't even perceive while your governments filed reports about our primitive radio signals. The real question, James added, stepping toward the trembling, Commander Veltar, is why you brought us here. Did you really think you were capturing random human explorers? Or did something call us to this sector? As if in response to his words, the station's lights flickered, and a deep rumble echoed through the hull. Through the viewport, space itself seemed to ripple, and something vast and impossible began emerging from the void between stars. Titan-class entity detected, the station's computer announced. All defensive systems have failed. Evacuation protocols initiated. James and Liza exchanged glances and began walking toward the exit. As they passed the stunned aliens, James paused beside Commander Veltar. You might want to evacuate your people to a safe distance. We'll handle this. But how? Veltar managed to ask. James looked back, his scarred face breaking into a grin that contained the accumulated confidence of impossible victories. Same way we always have. We'll carry fire against gods. The two humans disappeared through the corridor, leaving behind a detention full of aliens who finally understood that some legends never die. They just wait for the right moment to remind the universe why they became legends in the first place. Outside, something that could devour solar systems had come hunting, but it had made one crucial mistake. It had awakened those who carried fire against gods.